the second video in our series on recruiting for 2021. Of course, at the moment we can't have parent information evenings, and we're trying to get information out to you as much as we can. It's difficult, we know, and if we can help, don't hesitate to contact us. This video is about how to get an instrument. What instrument do I need? How does it work? Fairly simple, you might think. However, when you get out there and you start looking online, there's a million opportunities and things that we need to be able to deal with. So, where do we start? Well, in the recruiting process, we identify the instrument that might be suitable. That's fine. We can do that. We can run with that. And if we come home and say, look, you're going to play clarinet or trumpet or trombone, it's not just because we're giving you one, it's because we've actually assessed and looked and made sure that that's what is suitable. We don't always get it right, but we try. Now, the hunt for the instrument comes on. There are a number of ways that you can get it. But what sort of instrument do I need? They're the questions we're going to answer in this video. What sort of instrument? First of all, do you have one sitting at home? You'd be amazed at how many people have a trumpet or a clarinet or a flute in the cupboard from their days at school, or know a family member that has one, or has a neighbour that has one. That's fine. Maybe it'll work. Good way to get it. Sometimes your school will have quantities that they can hire out to you or loan to you. And that's an agreement you make with the school. They charge a fee, and that fee goes to the upkeep and the eventual replacement of that instrument. Department of Education schools have other options as well, with some regional loans and things and initiatives that are there, but they know about those, and we're happy to help advise. You can go to other third-party companies and hire that instrument. There's a group called Sydney Band Instruments that hire specially just band instruments to you. Great way to do it. There are companies like Music Corps that hire instruments, and they do a hire purchase program that you can hire it to start with, but then eventually you own it. They're good. They're a good way of getting a good quality instrument. There are many other companies, and it's worth looking around. Buying the instrument is always a scary thing. And the most common question I get is people saying, look, I don't know anything about this instrument, but I've got to buy one. Where do I start? What do I do? This little guide perhaps might give you some idea. There are really 3 grades of student instrument. Now, we're not talking about custom professional instruments, we're not talking about intermediate instruments, we're talking about grassroots beginner instruments. There are 3 levels, and the general rule is what you pay for is what you get. Occasionally you can really grab a bargain, but often that's just good luck, not management. At the top of that scale are the top instruments. That's Yamaha, Bach, Holton, Blessing, Chagall, and you expect to pay considerable amounts for those. Trumpet, $1,000. In the clarinet range, Buffet, Yamaha, again. Why pay so much? Because those instruments are beautifully manufactured. They're mass made, certainly, but they will last you 30, 40, 50 years and retain their resale value if at some stage you decide to upgrade to the next level of instrument, or sadly if junior doesn't continue playing. So it's an investment rather than just a one-off cost. If we take a step down from them, there are a whole range of instruments available. Eastman, Trevor James, Wessex, JP. They're all brand names and they're beautifully made instruments, but they're made with the student budget in mind. Jupiter's another one that springs to mind. And they're good instruments, they will last for years with proper care. They will do the job. They play in tune, they're nicely manufactured, and you can get a good result with them. That's great. If you come down from that, we get into the, perhaps we call them the cheap and cheerful, the budget model. And this is where a lot of people start. And it's simply a budgetary thing of going, well, I don't know if Junior's going to play trumpet for the rest of his life, so why would I spend $1,000 when I can buy one for 200? Remember, what you pay is what you get. If you buy a cheap trumpet, it will be cheaply manufactured. Usually they're heavier. You buy a cheap saxophone, they're markedly heavier than the proper name brands, should I say. They will do the job. And they might just get you through the first couple of years, and then you go, well, hey, this is it. He's going to play, so I'll get him a decent one. Fantastic. They have a short life. The equipment, the springs, the pads, the valves and things wear out. You'll find we get them in the workshop here and we can panel beat them with our fingers. Some of the metal is that thin, and you do have problems. If you get a good one, and there are some very good ones. I've had instruments come in from Aldi that are quite playable, quite usable. But you buy it knowing that it's got a short shelf life. It's a little bit of a false economy perhaps when you're looking that in 3 years' time that instrument will have blown itself out. Whereas you spend $700, in 30 years' time that instrument needs a service. It's that sort of question, and it comes down to you. Which way do you want to go? A lot of the cheaper instruments also are a little bit harder to play. They're not manufactured to the exacting specifications of the upper brands. It's like when you buy your first car. Do you go out and buy the BMW 6 and fantastic with all the mod cons for your first car, or do you buy the old junker that'll get you through and you learn about what happens when it falls apart? What you pay, what you get. I love people to buy their own instrument or to go into it thinking that somewhere along the line you're going to buy a quality instrument, because that quality instrument really does help the student play. It's not that they won't play, it's not that they won't be able to do it, it just makes it easier. I've had a particular friend of mine who's just bought his first professional trumpet from an amateur level, same brand, etc. And he can't tell me often enough about how good it is, this newer upper level instrument is for his playing, how he's enjoying it, how it's responding, etc. So there is a difference. Right early on though, we're going to make the same noises. It's how much you want to budget for it. So to procure that instrument, yes, you can buy it outright. If you do, make your judgment. Do I buy a budget instrument for a couple of years? Do I buy a quality instrument for 20 years? What do I want? The budget instrument won't retain its money, its equity, for more than about 12 months. The quality instrument will retain its equity all its life, as long as it's looked after. And let's face it, these are student instruments, they're going to get knocked around a bit. Do I rent it? Do I rent it through the school, which is a great way if the school's got them? Some schools do, some don't. Or through a third party. And the third party agreement is between you and the third party. It is not with my company or my tutors or with the school. So this is something just to be a little careful of, because it's all done as a credit rating and all that sort of thing. Need to make sure that you're au fait with all the conditions and terms that they apply. Particularly payout figures, I've noticed a couple of times we need to be very careful of. Or do I borrow it from a friend? Or do I have a look and see if I've got one? And if you've got an instrument, does it need a service? Well, a service is $100. You know, that's still better than spending $700 on a new instrument. We're always happy to appraise your instrument, to have a look at it, to advise you. We're also happy to put it through the workshop and get them to give it that tune-up ready to go. There are lots of ways to get an instrument, and one way that will suit your budget and your approach. If you buy, remember the old saying, you pay for what you get, and you make that decision. Having said that, some of those cheaper instruments are quite good. They do. There's no particular brand because they all come out of the same factory basically. But they will work and they will get you started. And it's better to get you started on something and find out that it's fun to play and that you're in the band and get on with the process than it is to invest lots and lots of money and then hit a wall and give up. If we can help you, if we can provide further advice, please don't hesitate to contact us at murraybishopmusic@bigpond.com or murraybishopmusic.com.au is our website. More than happy to answer any inquiry or any query or give you any information that you may have. The only other thing that I would suggest, if your child gets percussion, you don't need to rush out and buy a complete drum kit. You might already have one. That'd be fantastic. But there are things called practice pads. They need a good pair of sticks, a full-size pair of sticks, but they need that and a practice pad. The school should have sufficient equipment. Keyboards, talk to us. Most people in our recruiting anyway, if people are using keyboards, what we do is request that the person is already learning the keyboard before they come to band, because it's quite a different environment. And if they're learning keyboard, most people have a keyboard at home that they can use. As I say, if you've got questions, you've got queries, come and talk to us. Happy to speak to you. Thank you for your time.